Hi, Gem Conference. My name is Jenny J.
And my name is Kumi J.
And we're going to be having an intimate fireside chat. You know, minus the fireside. Kumi, my mom, is an NLP coach. She is a yoga instructor. And we're going to be having a conversation about how to take care of ourselves as humans as well as business owners and also outside of the life of business. So when I say I got it from my mama, I really mean it. You're going to want to stay for this conversation because she is going to be dropping gems. And I mean the pun. So we'll meet you afterwards for a live Q&A. But for now, tune in, get cozy, take some notes, because I promise you, you are going to be looking at things with a fresher perspective by the end of this. So what do you say, Mom?
Yes.
Let's do this?
Yes, we'll do it.
Okay, amazing. Hi, Mom. It is wonderful to have you. I haven't interviewed you in legitimately years. I think the last time we did this was when I had a podcast. And like 3 years ago.
I think so.
Yeah.
But I can't remember anything from that.
Yeah, neither can I. I feel like different part of our lives. You were different. I was different. But I'm really excited for this. And I think everyone here listening really is too, because a lot of the entrepreneurs that are, currently doing the thing, attending conferences like this, there are more of them are in my age group. We are younger. We are just leaving corporate to go towards our side hustles, or we are coming into this with the idea of a new workplace. And so I think there is so much to gain from being able to talk to and listen to someone who has lived life, which you clearly have. So first off, just to start, what is it that you do for the audience who doesn't know you? Who are you and what do you do?
Well, my name is Kumi J.
Yep, Mama J to everyone else.
Everyone else. And what I do now is I help people to organize their minds, to organize their lives.
I love that. So a lot of folks started something new during the pandemic. A lot of side hustles were born, a lot of new businesses were born, and for you actually started and got your yoga certification training, which is something you've been doing for 30 years, in the middle of this pandemic. You made that decision. So how has that helped you, changed how you look at things? What was that like for you?
Well, it was a lot. Every day, 5 hours online, and staying up late and waking up in the morning. Which I normally don't do. I like my body clock and the nature's clock.
Trust me, I remember you telling me.
Yes. So making that commitment because I truly, truly wanted this opportunity. Otherwise, I would have to go to India to get this. So when the opportunity came to my door, I just grabbed it. And I'm so thankful because I really, really wanted to do this. As I had my journey towards my coaching and NLP, I realized it was all tracing back to the Hindu philosophy I was studying in grade 12. So I truly was searching for this. And within days I found. And what it helped me is to really be accepting, grounding, and to truly get the best out of whatever it was.
So officially, as per certification, you have not necessarily been a yoga instructor. You have the yogic mindset up until officially recently.
Yeah.
That being said, over the course of the last 50-something years, not to put your age on the internet, even though I'm pretty sure
56. Go ahead.
Okay, you did it. You said it. I wasn't outing your age.
Well, Jenny, I'm so proud. I'm actually proud to say my age.
Okay.
There's nothing shamed. I feel so blessed to be at this age.
I think that's great. I think a lot of us are a little shy because, some of us feel like we haven't done enough. Some of us feel like we don't match the experience for our age or vice versa. So I love that you are. But what I was going to say is, even before being officially certified as a yoga instructor with yogic mindset, you've had to face a lot of circumstances where unexpected things happen.
Yeah.
You had a wild teenager. I'll raise my hand for that. You had like the situation back home. You had things happen while you were here. You came in as an immigrant. There's so many layers to the unexpected that's happened over the course of at least the last 35 years. So for everyone that's navigating that now, and it's a different kind of unexpected now, but it's still unexpected. What would you tell them?
Well, this too will pass. Simple as that. I mean, people just say that. I mean that. Because when I started my life running for life, when I didn't know whether life was going to be there, that wasn't easy. This is much better. When I started my life in Canada with $20, that wasn't easy. When a child was born and I was it's a new life, new child, that wasn't easy. So comparing to that, this is not that difficult. You know, things will happen. It's about how flexible we are, you know, how we see things. We can get the best out of what's going on, or we can complain and keep on looking at the negative side of it.
Well, what if there was someone who was in that position? So if someone is, you know, an immigrant in entrepreneurship because that's the only option with very limited access to finances, and it is that bad, and we have COVID, what would you say to them?
I will say, like what I told you when you lost everything. I mean, every one of us, when things happen like this, it's an opportunity for us to see it as an opportunity rather than seeing it as a problem. When you look at it from the perspective of it's a problem, you're only going to find more issues of why this, why me, why this. But pity party that I call, instead you could actually see what you can do, just like what you did. You know, you started your online course and it became a success. And regardless whether you are an immigrant or whoever, wherever you are, start from the scratch. Everyone has, this is an opportunity to be very creative. You will find the answers within. Wherever the problem came, the solutions are right there.
I do love that. I think there is a quote, or not even a quote, Glennon Doyle talks about it a lot in her book. I don't think you've read it, but just the idea of the knowing, and that we have that knowing within us, and the deeper connected you are with yourself, the more you can get in touch with that, and we do know what we need to do. And I agree. I think sometimes we're just so far away from ourselves that we don't want to know, or we don't want to look within to see like what are the answers, how can we get to a solution. That being said, you and I both know navigating family who has different backgrounds and experiences in life, sometimes it is harder, and we see that sometimes firsthand for you know, the people we love and care about who it is harder for.
You know what I was thinking as you were talking? Always I see nature and learn from nature, and I was thinking of an example, and I do use a lot of stories and example as an NLP practitioner in yogic practice, because that's how our mind understand and remember things. So one of my favorite example is the river. The river will always find the ocean. The flexibility, the trust, and how it flows, regardless if a tree falls off or people throw stones at it, it will find a way, navigate and go. And that's how our lives are too. The more rigid we become, then we are not letting that guidance happening in our lives. Does that answer your question?
What if we've forgotten how to be a river? What if we still think we're a stick?
Okay, so
I mean, like, I understand, I do understand the metaphor, I do agree, but I think it's so easy to get caught up in our head.
Well, all I can say is, you give me a stick, you bring someone who's like a stick, you know, and through asking the questions, to taking the time to really pause and look at it, you will find the answers. It's just like rigid is what? It's like you don't want the answers. You don't want to find a solution.
Yeah, because sometimes it's hard to face them.
I mean, if you think it's hard, it's going to be hard. But don't even have that mindset. If you are truly wanting, if there is a way, if there is a will, there is a way.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you truly want, you will find a way. And there are ways I can easily navigate someone no matter how rigid they are, because things weren't easy for me. It wasn't. Really, when I think back, I sometimes wonder, how did I even do that?
So how did you?
Well, I think it's taking one moment at a time, one step at a time. When I started my whole thing in a university life, in a new province, during the war, when nobody was going to give me a space to live because I was a minority, and our kind was getting killed, and that wasn't easy. But then I never gave up. After knocking at 40 doors, somebody did say, okay, you could live temporarily, and that place became a permanent place until I left Sri Lanka. And same thing when I came here, starting with nothing, a baby. I didn't even know how to take care of a baby. But then, what do? I know, as a natural instinct of being a mother, and trusting myself, making that effort. Making that effort at that moment, It's just like how the baby begin to walk. It doesn't walk in one day. Crawl, fall, crawl. So it's just trust. It doesn't matter who laughs at you. The baby don't care. So that's just like that.
So I remember my dad, your husband, telling me that when you first came to this country, when both of you were first here, you used to cry all the time when someone like yelled at you, or like you would get on the phone, or like have to like call like the phone bill or whatever it was.
Too sensitive.
You would cry all the time, and I think that's really funny. Not funny. I'm emotional too, you know that. But you clearly don't let things affect you in the same way that they did.
No.
How do you work from, like, how did you get from that place to here? What was the difference? If you were to look back and say, I became more resilient or stronger, had more capacity to deal with these things, when was the moment, or what was it that changed?
It wasn't a particular moment. It was a lot of work on myself. So it's exactly just when you were born. You were 4 months old.
Okay. I thought you said there wasn't a particular moment. This sounds like a particular moment.
Oh, yes. That particular moment was the time I was introduced to a personal and professional development programming when my husband got laid off, and they refused to give him unemployment because we didn't have, we were just working on our status. So he wasn't able to get, and I was able to start this business. And this was an American company, the first satellite programming, which was selling personal and professional programming. And from that, I started really, I was so passionate as I started listening because it was new to me. I was working on myself without my knowledge, but not to this extent. Okay, so as I was selling these programs to a lot of the professionals, I started listening hours, 2-3 hours a day, sometimes more. And from that day, I never stopped. Every single day, I started, at least I put aside an hour or 2 hours. Sometimes I'll do a weekend course, or, I have done so many different courses, and, and that changed. And especially with yoga, I was still emotionally getting hurt on one side of me, even after doing NLP. And I couldn't use any technique that helped me until I did the yoga certification. And there where I learned the 15 minutes rule.
What's the 15 minutes rule? For everyone listening who needs a 15 minutes rule, what's that?
So basically the 3 kinds of pain. One is a pain that's caused by the universe, like the tsunami, like the corona, you have no control over. And the other one, someone humiliate you or do something where it's not your fault.
Yeah, but like when you tell embarrassing stories about me.
Yeah, I should start telling.
No, you
Because,
shouldn't. Not while the camera is recording. Okay, Mom?
Okay, so whenever that happens,
Mm-hmm.
the third one is the pain that we cause to ourselves.
Okay.
No matter what, the first one or second one,
Mm-hmm.
and the third one, after 15 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
if I'm taking that pain longer than that, I'm
Mm-hmm.
actually damaging myself emotionally, mentally. So
I think a lot of entrepreneurs actually do this a lot to ourselves. And I think we do it through the form of like self-imposed deadlines, of, rules that we say we have to do this by this time or else my business will not succeed. And we don't even realize these are deadlines or things that we put on ourselves. And it's torture. There have been, I think, nights and evenings where I've been working up late until like 12, 1 o'clock, and it like takes me a moment to say, oh, like this thing that I said I have to do, it's not actually because of someone else. A lot of the time it's because of me, because I've said I had to do this. So when it comes to like causing pain and hurting ourselves, even through ways like that, how do you check in with yourself? How do you even call yourself in and say, hey, like,
well,
I'm doing this?
the body gives you signal. If you want to know a story about your dad, one day, it's a good example, just like this, as he started his business 17 years ago, one day he called me.
It was 17 years ago?
Yeah. Yes, Jenny.
Sorry, I just needed a moment. Wow, it was 17 years ago. Okay, sorry, continue.
Yeah, I was shocked too when I look back.
What?
It's been a journey since he started the business. So the first year he will just work and work and work. And one day he called and he told me he was getting a heart attack. And I'm like, what? He said, yeah, I think I'm getting a heart attack. Call 911 or whatever it was. And I'm like, no, what happened? Then I paused and I asked, when did you eat? He said, oops, I didn't eat. So he forgot to eat.
Okay. Also, what made him think he was having a heart attack?
Because it was the gastric, how the body was rejecting and telling him the message. It just completely gave signals that he need to stop, pause and eat, right? But he thought it was heart attack. But that's how sometimes there are signals the body tells. I mean, not just entrepreneurs. I see a lot of times people completely ignore. Like if you truly love what you do, if you truly do, why are you doing? Why are you forgetting? It's for you first. You're not sacrificing and doing to somebody else. How can you do? It's like the mother has to take care of herself to feed the baby. Like the oxygen mask. I can go on and on with examples.
So I want to actually touch on that because I know that you know now that the mother has to put the oxygen mask on first and feed the baby.
Yeah.
In practice, I think you put the oxygen mask on us first. Like our whole lives without worrying too much about you.
Me?
Yes.
Yes, I did. I'm guilty of that.
I just want to point out,
Yes.
I do remember, casually will remind you that I think most of growing up, you cared so much more about us in the room than your own priorities. So looking back, and I guess I know there are a lot of mothers who are listening to this too. What would you remind them that you wish you could have reminded yourself? What are the things that you really wish you took a little more seriously in your 30s and 40s as a mother, helping your partner run a business, doing a lot of things? What would be the thing you would want to remind yourself of most?
Well, it was tough. Honestly, if I think all the experiences, it's I didn't have much of a choice or help around. But what I did take care of myself every morning and evening. My meditation, my yoga practice, going out, or even time with my husband, your father. Every evening I'll put you to bed. By 8 you were out sleeping or in the room. So or
hiding and reading a book, maybe.
Yes, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So at least after 8 till 9:30 in the night or 10 o'clock, it was my time, relaxing time. So I think one has to really pause and look, because it did some damage to my health. But regardless, I think I still took little time of myself to take care. But I will advise, the way I was doing was a little too much, because I didn't have a family or friends or anyone to help. I mean, working from home, inside home, even the business, so 30 years for me, it's like quarantine. But all I can say is, don't do that. I mean, you had to be very strong in order to do that, but regardless, it's not a good thing.
So if you were to go back and kind of give yourself advice, what would you do better?
Well, definitely I'll try, and because I'll go and ask for help.
Okay.
Which I felt was, that's bad. I mean, I felt shame about that. I felt obligated, because people are getting advice. I mean, people are using me a lot of times. So I didn't want people to get, I get help and then I had to return that help, right? But if it was now, I think very differently. Get as much as help.
And support where you can have it.
And things would be very different, because the me who I am today is so totally different than the person I was.
I love that, and I really respect that, because I even sometimes tell my friends, the mom I had growing up and the mom I'm staring at right now, two very different people. Can I just say, two very different people.
Yes. And I think everyone is not just me. People grow. I want to just jump in and say, I think everyone, you should not be feeling guilty about. I just wanted to interrupt and say that please do not feel guilty about who you were before. You did your very best at that time.
I agree. We do the best with what we have.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But there'll be people who'll be still bringing those stories and wanting to tell about what you were than who you are now. I mean, that's sad. Then those people have to work on themselves. Okay? But sorry, I'm interrupting you.
No, mom's spitting facts. Also, it's fine. I interrupt you on a daily basis. You interrupt me. This is our relationship.
Yeah.
It's cool. No, I think that's really important. And we are different people. I mean, in some ways, I can see how vastly different I am from 6 months ago to a year ago. And in some ways, I also see how I'm the same as the 6-year-old version of me. So that was really cool too. Today, I actually shared with you my report card from kindergarten, which, reading back, so for everyone listening, it was going on with the way that I respond to stories and how I can really easily connect when things are told in a storytelling format. What was it also like for you to listen back to that, just to see?
I could see that some of the things of who you were, the personality, it never changes. The passion, it's built in you. That's what I was so particular when you were little, and when Jessica, my other daughter, was little, that you will follow your passion. If I look back, same thing, the organizing, the planning, the designing.
That was always a part of you.
Always a part of me.
Yeah.
And nurturing that. It's like identifying what kind of seed, what kind of tree you are, and giving the proper food for that tree. Nurturing it, caring it.
So what would you say the difference is between understanding inherently who you are from a passion perspective versus changing as a person? What is the difference?
Understanding my passion is easy. It's what you like and who you become. But whoever I am today was a choice that I made throughout in the last 25 years or throughout my life with all the efforts. Because there are some people who don't take that step. They'll remain there. And a lot of the times, some of the clients, I know the question I ask, I'm so big into personal growth. That's where everything happens. And if I ask, what did you learn after your school? It's basically nothing. And there are no life stuff taught in school. So that choice, whether it's throughout the school years or after as an adult, to build that and do it is what can change you to a person you want to become or keep growing.
I love that. And I think what's also really important to know is you can only change yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't necessarily change everyone around you. I hope he won't yell at me later, but my dad, your husband, is a very stubborn individual, very resistant to change. And I say that as he's also someone who's changed a lot. But even as, you know, he was changing and didn't even realize he was changing, he was like, there's no way I'm going to change. I want to be who I am, and I'm determined to stay who I am. How did you navigate living a life with someone as beautifully strong-minded as
your dad?
Yes.
Yes.
Trying to find a way to word it, but yes.
Well, it's like the sandalwood.
Okay.
Or the jasmine tree.
Okay.
I think that's easier for you to understand.
Yes, I was going to say, I can only think of like sandalwood soap, sandalwood incense.
The fragrance.
Okay.
Wherever you bring,
yes,
it smells so beautiful.
Yes.
If you sit under the jasmine tree, you will pick up the jasmine, and that's like the ripple effect, or what is the effect. Like, I can be an example of the person I want to be and keep working on myself. And that could also inspire or motivate another person.
But you have to do it without expectations.
Yes, you have to do without expectations. So one good thing is he was a person who always wanted to learn and very curious and always open-minded. So we will have, like when I used to have my therapy or when I used to have my all these courses, every morning we'll sit and discuss, and I'll share what I learn, and he will just like a sponge grab everything what I have to, and he will start practicing. So that's what I say, you know, you don't go and say, okay, you change, you this, you know, but you change yourself, people around will automatically change because they will see the difference. And if they see positive, good changes, they want that for themselves. And I think that's what happened with me and Dad.
Okay, so we're almost out of time. We're going to be going into live Q&A afterwards, so I'm going to ask you more questions there. Everyone who's listening will be able to ask you questions as well. But before we wrap up, I guess you've seen both your husband and your daughter dive into entrepreneurship. You've seen our struggles firsthand. I don't know if Dad's come crying to you, but I certainly have. And you've seen our wins. And they're two very different kinds of businesses. Two very different kind of people with some odd, stubborn similarities.
No, there are a lot of similarities.
Okay, we don't have to. I'd like to think.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we're both really stubborn and a little wild. But seeing both of us navigate this journey, and you also yourself navigating it as a coach, as a yoga instructor, like again, very different kind of business. What would you say the common thread is that, you know, no matter what is happening in the outside world, no matter what is happening in our businesses, that we need to hold on to take care of ourselves?
To know why are you doing what you're doing is the common thread, to really understand the reason you're doing the business. Okay, I remember in 2008 when all these I think the recession or the whole thing happened with stock market and everything changed. That time I saw he was panicking and things, we didn't have the way how business all of a sudden it changed.
Yeah.
But I think what I'm good in, just doesn't matter what happens, to just slow down and take that moment, and it's fine. And also to adjust yourself, right? The more you make money, more expenses you'll have. But then are you willing to start from the scratch again? I think I have experienced that so many times in my life. I had everything and all of a sudden lost because of the war. I lost because of when I came here and lost everything couple of times. So I think that confident, no matter what, as long as you're breathing, you're able to think, you can do something.
I love that. Okay, well, that is all I have for questions. I know we're going to dive into a live Q&A, and I know people are so excited to chat with you, hopefully with me too, which is exciting. But thank you, Mom, from the bottom of my heart. I
Thank you.
Learned so much from you. I think a lot of people know that because I shout you out from the rooftops as much as I can. But I do think a lot of what you said here was really important, and I think it's really easy for us to forget. It's really easy for us to forget that we're growing humans, that we need to pause, that we need to take time to be in touch with ourselves and what we want and who we are. And I do think you do a really good job of leading by example. And even if you didn't have an official certification for 35 years, you've been doing it in practice my whole life. So I appreciate you. I know everyone appreciates you, and we will see them in the live chat. So thank you.
Thank you, Jenny. It was really, really beautiful being with you.